84-year-old Olivia spent decades helping poor kids get education. When Steve Harvey revealed he was one of those kids, what happened next completed the circle and proved that kindness planted in childhood can grow into life-changing generosity that transforms hundreds of lives. It was October 2023, and 84-year-old Olivia Matthews sat nervously in the green room of the Steve Harvey show, wearing her best Sunday dress and clutching a small purse that contained faded photographs and handwritten letters from children she had helped over the past 5 decades. Olivia had been invited to the show to be honored as part of Unsung Heroes Week, a special series highlighting everyday people who had made extraordinary differences in their communities. What Olivia didn't know was that she was about to discover a connection that would change her life and complete a circle of kindness that had been 40 years in the making. Olivia Matthews had dedicated her entire adult life to one simple mission: making sure that no child in her Cleveland, Ohio neighborhood would be denied an education because of poverty. For 52 years, from 1970 to 2022, Olivia had worked quietly behind the scenes, using her modest income as a school cafeteria worker to help hundreds of children afford school supplies, clothes, and even tuition for trade schools and community college. Olivia had never married or had children of her own, but she considered every child she helped to be family. She kept meticulous records of every student she assisted, tracking their progress through school and celebrating their achievements as if they were her own grandchildren. Every child deserves a chance to learn, Olivia would say to anyone who asked about her mission. Education is the only way to break the cycle of poverty, and if I can help one child stay in school, then everything I sacrifice is worth it. Olivia's method was always the same. She would identify children who were struggling academically or financially, quietly approach their families, and offer help without any expectation of recognition or repayment. She paid for school supplies, winter coats, eyeglasses, and even tutoring for kids who needed extra help. Mrs. Matthews would just show up at our door with a bag of school supplies and say, "I heard your boy needed some things for school," remembered Patricia Johnson, whose son Marcus had been helped by Olivia in 1985. She never made us feel like charity cases. She made us feel like family. Over the years, Olivia had helped over 400 children in Cleveland's inner-city neighborhoods. Many of those children went on to graduate high school, attend college, start businesses, and become successful contributing members of society. But Olivia never sought credit for their achievements. "I just planted seeds," she would say humbly. "God and these children did all the growing." One of those seeds had been planted in 1982 when Olivia noticed a 25-year-old man struggling to make ends meet while trying to pursue his dream of becoming a comedian. The young man had a severe stuttering problem, was working odd jobs to survive, and couldn't afford the decent clothes he needed for auditions and performances. Olivia had heard about the young comedian from her neighbor, Mrs. Harvey, who was worried about her son Steve's financial struggles and his unconventional career choice. "Mrs. Harvey, your Steve is following his calling," Olivia had told Eloise Harvey. "Sometimes people with gifts need a little extra support to share those gifts with the world." Without telling Steve or even his mother, Olivia had quietly begun helping the aspiring comedian. She bought him interview clothes, paid for his car repairs when he couldn't afford them, and even covered some of his living expenses during his most difficult months. "There was this angel in our neighborhood who helped my Steve when he was struggling," Eloise Harvey had told friends, never knowing the angel's identity. Someone saw his potential and believed in him when he couldn't even believe in himself. Steve Harvey had no idea who his mysterious benefactor was. During his darkest days in the early 1980s, envelopes containing money would appear under his apartment door with notes that simply said, "Keep chasing your dreams. Someone believes in you." By 1985, Steve's comedy career was starting to gain traction, and the anonymous help stopped coming. Steve assumed his secret supporter had simply moved on to help someone else, never imagining that he would meet this person again. Olivia continued her quiet mission for nearly 4 more decades, helping generation after generation of children in Cleveland. She worked in school cafeterias until she was 82 years old, using every extra penny of her salary to support students in need. In 2022, at age 83, Olivia finally retired, but her impact on the community had become legendary. Local churches, schools, and community organizations had tried for years to honor Olivia publicly, but she always declined recognition. "The children's success is all the recognition I need," she would say. But Olivia's story eventually reached a producer at the Steve Harvey Show through a letter written by Reverend Michael Davis from Cleveland's Mount Olive Baptist Church. "Mr. Harvey," Reverend Davis wrote, "there's a woman in Cleveland who has quietly changed hundreds of lives over the past 50 years. She's 84 years old now and living on a fixed income, but she's still trying to help children get educations. She deserves to be honored for her incredible generosity." When Steve's producers investigated Olivia's story, they were amazed by the scope of her impact. Teachers, parents, and former students all testified to Olivia's quiet generosity and life-changing support. "Olivia Matthews is the reason my son became a doctor," said one parent. "She bought him the eyeglasses he needed to see the blackboard, and that changed everything for him. Mrs. Matthews paid for my community college tuition when I had no other way to continue my education," said another former student. "I became a teacher because of her investment in me." Steve was deeply moved by Olivia's story and immediately agreed to honor her on his show. When Steve met Olivia in the green room before the show, he was struck by her humility and grace. She seemed overwhelmed by the attention and kept insisting that she didn't deserve to be celebrated. "Mrs. Matthews, you've helped over 400 children get educations," Steve said. "That's not just generous, that's miraculous." "Mr. Harvey, I just did what anyone with a heart would do," Olivia replied. "These children needed help, and I was able to provide it. That's not special, that's just being a good neighbor." During the show, Olivia shared her story with the audience, explaining how she had dedicated her life to helping children overcome financial barriers to education. "Mrs. Matthews, what made you decide to spend your own money helping other people's children?" Steve asked. "Mr. Harvey, I never had children of my own, but I always felt like every child in my neighborhood was my child. When I saw kids struggling to get the education they deserved, I couldn't just watch, I had to do something." "How many children do you think you've helped over the years?" "I've kept records," Olivia said, opening her small purse and pulling out a worn notebook. "I've helped 427 children over 52 years. I remember every one of them." The audience was amazed by Olivia's dedication and began giving her a standing ovation. "Mrs. Matthews," Steve said, "I want to tell you something that's going to surprise you." "What's that, Mr. Harvey?" Steve paused, looking emotional. "Mrs. Matthews, you didn't help 427 children over 52 years. You helped 428 children. Olivia looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean that one of those children you helped was sitting right here talking to you." The audience held its breath as Steve continued. "Mrs. Matthews, in 1982, there was a young man in Cleveland who was struggling to become a comedian. He had a severe stutter, no money, and no decent clothes for auditions. Someone, an angel, started leaving money under his door, with notes that said, 'Keep chasing your dreams. Someone believes in you.'" Olivia's eyes grew wide as she began to realize what Steve was saying. "Mrs. Matthews, I was that young comedian. You were my angel. You helped me during the darkest period of my life, and I never knew who you were." Olivia gasped and put her hand to her heart. Stephen Harvey, the stuttering boy who wanted to make people laugh?" "Yes, ma'am. That was me." Olivia began crying as the magnitude of the moment hit her. "Oh my goodness, Stephen, look at you. Look what you've become." Steve stood up and walked over to embrace Olivia, both of them crying as the audience erupted in emotional applause. "Mrs. Matthews, you saved my life," Steve said through tears. "When I was ready to give up on comedy and get a regular job, your support kept me going. You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Stephen, I always knew you were special, Olivia said, holding his hands. Even with that stutter, I could see that you had a gift to make people happy. Steve turned to address the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman changed my life 40 years ago. Now it's my turn to change hers. What do you mean? Olivia asked. Mrs. Matthews, you spent 52 years using your own money to help children get educations. Now I want to make sure you never have to worry about money again. Steve announced that he was establishing the Olivia Matthews Education Fund with an initial donation of $500,000 to continue her work of helping children afford their educations. But that's not all, Steve continued. Mrs. Matthews, you're not going to be able to help children from your small apartment on a fixed income anymore. I'm buying you a new house, and I'm setting up an endowment that will provide you with $5,000 a month for the rest of your life, so you can continue helping children without sacrificing your own needs. Olivia was sobbing as she tried to process what was happening. Stephen, that's too much. I don't need all that. Mrs. Matthews, you gave me my career. You gave me my life. This is just the beginning of how I'm going to pay forward what you did for me. The most touching part came when Steve revealed his bigger plan. Mrs. Matthews, I want you to know that because of what you taught me about helping children, I've established scholarship programs that have helped over 10,000 young people attend college. Every one of those children was helped because you helped me first. Olivia was amazed. You mean you've been helping children too? Yes, ma'am. Everything I learned about generosity, I learned from watching how you helped me and other children in our neighborhood. You didn't just change my life. You changed the lives of thousands of children through me. 6 months later, Olivia returned to the Steve Harvey show for a follow-up that showed how her life had been transformed. Mrs. Matthews, how has your life changed since we first met? Steve asked. Mr. Harvey, I'm living in a beautiful home. I have more resources than I've ever had. And most importantly, I'm able to help more children than ever before, Olivia said, looking healthier and happier than she had in years. Tell us about the Olivia Matthews Education Fund. We've already helped 89 children with school supplies, tutoring, and college preparation. The fund is allowing us to reach children not just in Cleveland, but in other cities too. Steve smiled. Mrs. Matthews, you planted a seed in me 40 years ago. Now we're planting seeds together in a whole new generation. Stephen, this is what I always dreamed of. Being able to help even more children pursue their education. You've made my dreams come true. The most beautiful moment came when Olivia presented Steve with an updated version of her notebook. I want to show you something, she said, opening the notebook to a specific page. This is the page where I wrote your name in 1982. Stephen Harvey, aspiring comedian, needs clothes and encouragement for auditions. She turned to a new page that read, Stephen Harvey, successful comedian and television host. Help 10,000 plus children through scholarships. My greatest success story. Proof that investing in children changes the world. Today, the Olivia Matthews Education Fund has helped over 500 children and continues to grow. Olivia, now 85, works closely with Steve's foundation to identify children who need educational support, continuing the mission she started over 50 years ago. Steve keeps Olivia's original notebook in his office, open to the page where she first wrote his name. It reminds him daily that success isn't just about achieving your own dreams. It's about helping others achieve theirs. Olivia taught me that kindness is an investment that pays dividends for generations. Steve often says, she invested in me when I was struggling, and now we're investing in hundreds of other children together. That's how you change the world, one child at a time. The story of Steve and Olivia has inspired thousands of people to become mentors and supporters of children in their own communities, proving that when we lift up one person, we create a ripple effect that can transform countless lives. If this incredible story of paying it forward and the power of investing in children moved you, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that helping one person can change the world. Have you ever been helped by someone who believed in your potential? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more amazing stories about generosity, education, and the beautiful circles that connect all our lives.